When you're based on Aleph, about 4 lines before the wide lines, the very wide lines, we come up kasha. So we established at the end of yesterday's shir that water is different. That you can't bring me raya from water because water has an inherent leniency. That we want you to be able to access to water. So we know that the rabbis made it different. They were more lenient, and the perfect example was a mechitza tuluya. If it's a hanging mechitza, will that be valid? The answer is only by water, but not in a normal situation. If you're in a churva, it will not help you. Okay, so we set the water case aside as not having any bearing, but it did not. But at the end of the day, it did not answer the original contradiction between Shmuel and Shmuel. In one case, Shmuel said that all you need is one board to matter a chutzner. You need only one board, and that's good enough. Doesn't sound like you need two. And Shmuel told Chananya ben Shila that either you use a rov dolphin or shnei pasin. You need one of those two, but one board simply doesn't seem to cut it. So what's going on? Is it the second quote of Shmuel that seems to be accurate, that you need either the majority of a wall or two lechis, or is the first one accurate, that with one pass it's going to be fine? So which one was it? Mikomokum kasha. So at the end of the day, you still haven't resolved your situation. So what's the deal? So Kyosar of Papa, Rav Huna, Brei Yeshua, and Bei Rav. Okay, when Rav Papa came, Rav Huna, Brei Yeshua, who came from the yeshiva of Rav, Yeshua, they explained it as follows. Shmuel makes perfect sense, and he does not contradict himself. It depends on the situation. Meruach achas biarbo. If you want to choose, when he said about a pas is enough, what he meant was a pas arbo. Okay, that if it's one from one direction, if you only want to put up a lechi on one side, you need a 4 tefach board to cover the chutzner and to make the chutzner, rectified and then valid. Bishtei ruchos, but if you don't want to do that, you don't want to go with the 4 tefach board, mashul kan or mashul kan. Well, then you got to put up 2 lechis. So it really depends. So both statements are accurate. When he said pas echad, he only meant not any pas, not any board, but he meant a board of 4 tefachim. Okay, so right now we're good. So Rav Papa, however, now chimes in. If I have a problem on Shmuel, this is my problem on Shmuel. As follows: Damali Shmuel, the Amar Lei Shmuel of Chanya Bar Shila. Okay, because Shmuel told Rav Chanya Bar Shila, Atloi Tavid Uvda, Ela Oiberoiv Doifin Oibeshay Pasa. Right, that's one of the 2 quotes that we were dealing with coming into this morning with the contradiction. Was one statement said you need 1 pas, and that's fine. Then he said you're either going to use rov dolphin or you're going to need 2 boards, two lechis. So let's understand this rov dolphin concept. So normally rov dolphin. Now, especially based on your explanation that it's 4 tefachim, I don't understand this requirement for the majority of the wall. But pasar barosagi, why didn't he simply say you either choose 4 tefachim or you choose 2 lechis? What did he say roiv? Well, what was his roiv business? You don't need a majority. I mean, you tell me if the thing is 5 amis, what you need 2.6 amis. I mean, that's way more than 4 tefachim. So what do you mean majority? Why is that necessary? So he says, Lomali rov dolphin b'pasar barosagi. The chitema, and 4 meaning 4 tefachim. The chitema, my brave dolphin. Maybe you can explain. You know what? You know when Shmuel said you need rov dolphin, because in that particular case, it was a situation b'dolphin shiva. It was an opening rather of 7. So if you wanted to open up, and if you have an opening of 7 tefachim and you want to close it up, what he meant to say was, listen, in this case you're going to need a majority, because majority of 7 is 4. So you need a 4 tefachim. So normally you don't need more than 4 tefachim. Normally you don't need a majority. In this particular case, since the opening was 7 tefachim, the majority represented 4 tefachim, you're good. Well, you're still not so good. And I still don't like why he said majority. V'chi tema my brov dofen b'dofen shiva. The arba have a rov dofen that with 4 tefachim you taka get to the requirement of the majority of the wall. Lamli arba. Why still do you need 4 b'shoshu mashu sagi? With 3 in a mashu, it would be perfectly sufficient. Why? Why do I not need the 4? Because let's not forget the other halacha that we learned in the last blot. Okay, why? The Amr of Achli, Vitamer of Yechiel, Araba. Remember he said that as far as closing up a mavui, that you only need to do something to rectify the mavui if its opening was more than 4 tefachim. If it's less than 4 tefachim, then you're good because it's too narrow to require any type of rectification. Doesn't have to be fixed if the mavi is perfectly fine because it's so narrow. Remember, we had that case where it widens into the mavi. So, and if at the opening of the mavi you're less than 4 tefachim, you're good to go. You don't need a lech, you don't need a car, you don't need anything. So, if we're dealing with that case, why did Shmuel say that you have to have roiv? You don't need roiv, even if you split the 7 tefachim in the middle and you had 3.5. Brings it to a 3.5 opening. That 3.5 opening does not require any lechi or korah. So I still don't understand why Shmuel makes sense. If you're going to align him with this last statement, okay, true, you don't necessarily have to, but it certainly we assume it would be aligned. Then why do you need roiv daifin? 3.5 would be perfectly fine. You can have half the daifin there, and that should be sufficient. Okay, b'shleishu mashuhu sagi. Okay, you don't even 3.5. You just need 3 and something, because the minute you get to less than 4, right, the 3 and something will get the 4 down to 4 minus anything. 4 minus anything is enough that you don't require any rectification whatsoever. Okay, so good. Okay, it's a very good question. Let's see. He says. Right, Araba, till 4, you don't need anything. So what's going on here? What did Shmuel mean? So let me tell you 2 possible answers. Ibos ema kamba chotzer kamba movli. Either you can say that this concept of less than 4 tefachim, not requiring any rectification, it's good to go. It maybe is only good to go in a movli. We already established more than once that a movli has less severe halachas as than a chutzner. A chutzner requires more than a mavli. So in a mavli, when the mavli narrows and it's that narrow that it's 4 tefachim, that less than 4 tefachim, that's where it's good. But in a chutzner, okay, which has maybe whatever more. It's a different configuration. Maybe more, people use it more often. Whatever the reasons might be, a chutzner is more machmir. Maybe there we don't buy into this, or they themselves never said it when it came to a chutzner. So that's one possibility. In which case, everything now is good. So by a chutzner, you always need 4, and that's why he said roiv daifin, because you need 4. It was a 7 tefach opening, which required a majority of that space to be a wall. Or if you don't want to use 4, then you can use 2 lechis. That's the other option. Okay, and that would help everything. V'ibas Eimer, another way to resolve the stira is that in truth, Rav Achli did mean it by a mavi and by a chutzner. However, who says that Rav Achli is so universally accepted? V'ibas Eimer, Rav Achli gufei tanohi. Rav Achli himself, this halacha, that less than 4 tefachim needs nothing, is not so simple. That itself is a machlokes tanoim that requires you to make a decision. Whose side are you on? Are you on Rav Achli's side, or are you on the other Tanoim side? Maybe Shmuel didn't buy in to Rav Achli because he goes with the other Tanoim. So at this point, we're good. We've resolved the stira. We've managed to get out of this less than 4 business in terms of the opening, and we're ready to go weiter. But let's catch up with the Rashis. Let's see, Mikol Mokom, right? Mikol Mokom, slightly below the middle of the page in Rashi's. Mikol Mokom, the Shmuel and Shmuel Kasha, but at the end of the day, we still have a steer between Shmuel and Shmuel. Per Shmuel de Shmuel, okay, they explain Shmuel as follows. Hi, the Kama Pasachad. When Shmuel said that 1 board would be sufficient, Hainu Arba Tfachim, that's specifically a board of 4 tefachim. When he said you need 2, he was referring to 2, anything boards that will cover you on both sides. So you got your choice. You go one side 4 tefachim, you go 2 sides, whatever you want, whatever size you want. So That's fine. Okay, you've resolved that, but I still don't understand why he used the expression barov. Barov. What do you have to rov dofen? Why does the majority of the opening have to be enclosed with a wall? It seems to be a little bit overkill. B'shoshu ma'ashu sagi. The Yimayit Pesach mi'arba, because that lessens the opening from the area of 4 tfachim v'suloi b'imidi. And now you don't need anything because we already ravachli held. You don't have to fix the mavi up at all at that point. We had already learned that lesson 4 requires nothing. So one resolution could be kan b'chotzer meruba or rechovios miorchoi, when a chotzer which is squared or its width is wider than its length. Avagav the might me'arba lo sagi bach. Even though you make the opening less than 4, that might not cut it because a chotzer, because it sounds like from Rashi, it's more based on the configuration than anything else because of its configuration, and that its width is so wider than the length, so you really have to make a bigger enclosure on that width part of things, and it's not going to work. Or a mavi has more length than width. That's the whole idea of that long, narrow alleyway. So that's where Rav Achli will say his halach. He never meant it by a chutzner. Okay, or the other possible resolution is that it's not so clear that Rav Achli is accepted. B'chal, Rav Achli tonight, maybe it's possible Rav Achli himself is a issue which is machlokas tanoim. L'kam farshlu. Later on, we're going to explain this in more detail. Okay, a blot away on Daf Yud Gimel. The mill, so we couldn't really establish it clearly one way or the other. Therefore, you need the majority of the wall standing because it could be we just don't buy into this concept altogether that 4 tfachim works, and that's why the less than 4 tfachim requires nothing. That's why you have to get to the level of 4 tfachim, and that will get you what you need. According to Shmuel, it's either 4 tfachim or 2 lechis, one of the two. Okay, let's proceed. Okay, back to the Gemara now. We're caught up. Tanarbonon. So it's 3 lines from the bottom. Okay, 3 lines from the bottom. Tanarbonon. We learned the Bryce as follows: Loshon yam hanichnas l'chotzer. If you have, we had this case before, but the sea protruding into the chotzer. So you've got the water coming in, there it is, to your alleyway, to your courtyard. So there you had a nice chotzer, and you walk out one day, and you're near Michael, and now what you thought, you didn't have any water in your backyard, you now got the sea coming up into your backyard.
The storms.
What?
The storms.
Yeah, right. So, hopefully everybody's out of harm's way. So, right. Okay, that's weiter. Okay, fine. So right now, we don't have the aleph there yet. Right now we have just an opening where the.
That's on the left.
I know. I'm saying right now let's not focus on the aleph, but clearly you can see. Again, I don't know if I would give these pictures Academy Awards for artistic, but basically there is a little bit, whether you can sense it or not, the walls are a little bit in, right? I don't know. You could interpret that picture as the wall flat up until till the end. There is no protrusion of the 4th side, but he intends to give you the impression that there is, right. There's a little bit.
Yeah, it's on top.
Okay, fine. Okay, you're right. It's okay. So right, but what you have here is a U with a little bit of indentation on the opening of the U coming in. Okay, right, Gary? You see that you?
Yeah, no,
okay. Okay, good. To me, it's not so clear, but okay. Well, that's what he meant. Now, so let's see here. So Tarabanan, Loshen Yamanechlas Lechatzer, Eimam Malin Emena B'Shabbos. You cannot pull the water out of your backyard because, after all, now Baruch Hashem, I was going to have to start dealing with how am I going to get water and the schlepping. It's right in my backyard. You wake up and it's so convenient. You can just take the water. Can you? Is that good enough that your water's in your backyard? Can I now just take the water and bring it into the house? or carry in the chutzner. Okay, you cannot fill it up with fill your pails up with the water on Shabbos. Unless you have a mechitza 10 tefachim high. Okay, so in other words, seems like you have to build a brand new mechitza if you want to carry the water. However, let's qualify this for a minute before everyone starts getting annoyed and agitated. When do we say this? As if the opening between those two walls that protrude into side 4 are more than 10. If they're more than 10, then you have too big of an opening. You're going to have to rectify it by building a mechitza 10 tefachim high. Okay, that's what you have to build. Is only when the pirtz is more than 10. Aval eser, but if it's 10 or less between the two sides of the protrusions of the fourth wall, ein tzarich, the fourth side, ein tzarich klum. Okay, then you don't need anything. Okay, which is really what we would have thought, right? B'chlal, that if you have the two sides, right, those two indentations coming in to your chutzner are two lechis, which serve as two lechis, and everything is good. The only time that those two lechis wouldn't be good if the opening is more than 10. Well, then we know that in a chutzner or in a mavi anywhere, it doesn't matter where, if the opening is more than 10 amas, it's too big. And that's where you're going to have to come up with some kind of a mechitza to close things up. Okay, so this sounds perfectly fine, except there's one problem. It sounds like the Bryce is saying, if it's less than 10, then you can fill up your pails with the water. Really, that's all I can do? I can't do anything else. I just can't pick up my bathing suit and my other stuff that I left out in the chutzner. I can't pick that up and carry it either. I only can take the water. So, as we continue the last line of the Gemara, one second. Okay, if it's 10, then you're good to go. So sounds like so if it's only let's take it on the other side. What did we start by saying? That if you can't take any water if it's more than 10. So now we're going to focus on that line, the very first line, right? He says Elam Kain.
You can't carry that chutzner to begin with.
Exactly. So why are you telling me I can't fill up the pails with water? He says, what, it's only when it's more than 10, I can't fill up the pails with water, but I can carry? Okay, so it's attacking that point. But you've got too big of an opening at the opening of the chutzner to a place, namely the sea, that you can't carry. Now, if you were able to carry on the other side of that wall, then you'd have a much less of an issue. Because, of course, you would be able to carry because of the fact...
Are they assuming that's an ocean or a lake, the other side, as opposed to...
Let's say it's some kind of makam patur where you'd be allowed to carry anyway, some kind of enclosure or whatever. That's different. But here, that's not the case. Here, you're open to a sea. A sea is a karmelis. A karmelis you can't carry from a karmelis to a shus yachid. So why are you saying to me that... the inference is that I could actually carry other things. Okay, so how could you, when you're open to a place where you cannot carry an access from that place to where you are, or vice versa, because we're dealing with a sea. A sea is a karmelis, and that should be a problem. Let's finish the Rashi on this page before we turn over. Okay, shenichnas... L'chotz, right? Derech pirtzas hakaisel, through the opening of the walls, the sea comes in. We're not talking about being completely open, right? There is some level of enclosure on that fourth side. Since we're making a distinction between 10 and less than 10, 10 or less to more than 10, that distinction only holds true when there's already pre-existing walls on the two sides, and that's why Rashi knows that's the case, that you have those two walls. But if you had totally no walls at all, then it wouldn't matter whether it's 10 or more. You have no rectification whatsoever on that fourth side. You wouldn't be allowed to carry regardless. So the fact that we make the distinction whether it's 10 or not, that tells us that there are two valid lechis, at least a beginning process of enclosing that fourth side. Okay, so elam ken what's halacha? You cannot carry elam ken asa mechitza ligdar pirtzas kaisel hachatzer adeser. Right, you have to make a 10 tefach mechitza to enclose the fourth side.
So is that water, if that chutzner, you were allowed to carry it, is that water considered part of the chutzner, or is that part?
Well, if you close it off, then it would be considered part of the chutzner.
In other words, if you closed it with something on both sides there, so you can carry it inside, but the water is still connected to the ocean.
Okay, good point, true, but...
So is what's the water? Is it...
Well, the Bryce is telling you, is answering your question. The Bryce is telling you that if you close it off, then even though it's connected to the ocean, you still can carry it where you are, and
you can carry
where you are. You're in the you're not in the ocean. You're in the chutzner.
But could you take something out of the water?
Well,
where's the water?
Yeah, where's
the water? Is inside there.
Well, of course, that's exactly what he's telling you can do.
But it's attached.
Okay, you asked the question. The Bryce gave you your answer. Even though it's attached. If you make your wall, then all the water that's inside that chutzner is accessible to you. That's exactly what the chiddush is. I don't think that because you're attached to the sea, you're done and I can't touch the water. No, if the water's in your chutzner, you can take your pail and fill up your pail. But you can't go out to the sea because that's obviously you're carrying a carmelist. That you can't do. You can't, I don't picture making a wall around the sea. That's going to be a little tough.
We already saw this with the mechitzas yordos. I mean, the
right.
entire yam is there.
Mm-hmm.
All you've done is section off a virtual, space there, and you can take from that space, even though it's totally connected to the ocean.
Correct.
With the mechitzas that were coming down, right? Yeah.
So right, this is small stuff. This is simple. Okay. Very good. Aval, 1 second. Aval eser. If you have 10 or less, which is that's a max of your opening is a 10 opening. Ain't so klum. Shrei shir mikan because you have a remainder of that. You have a little bit of a strip of wall on both sides, so you're good to go. And go ahead and take your pail and enjoy the water.
So, Rabbi, let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
This is an extreme thing, but it's right on what Michael's point is. So let's say it's not water. Let's say it's some other solid thing. Let's say it's a big block of cheese, huge block of cheese. Can I cut the cheese? I'm serious.
Well, technically, you should be able to. The cheese is in your domain. Yeah. Okay. I thought you were going to ask me, can I take the cheese? Because I take the cheese while I'm picking it up from where it's in my domain. It's being schlepped. I'm schlepping the other side of the cheese that's out of my domain. That might be problematic. But what are you presenting? I think that's fine. Because
it's really considered separate piece.
Yeah, it's your. Think about it.
It's in your domain.
It's in my domain, so I'm not carrying. I'm carrying only the stuff that's in my domain. Okay, so it sounds like only when it's more than 10. What can't you do? You can't fill up the pails of water. Because at the end of the day, you're carrying from a karmelis to a Shus Yachid, and this is where it sounds like the Gemara is assuming you tell me it's uniquely the water because of Michael's svara, which here becomes relevant because you don't have enough of an enclosure. It sounds like you're saying the only place you can't carry, the only thing you can't carry is the water. Okay, but it's not what everything else you could carry. Your breach is more than 10. Why are you able to carry the other stuff? The pail itself should be also for you to carry because there's a breach of 10 and you shouldn't be allowed to carry b'chal. He says, you're still allowed to carry in this chutzner. This chutzner is a non-validated chutzner. So what's going on as we turn black? Okay, we just shut off. Okay, b'melua. The answer is, okay, 1 second. Now we're not ready for the answer yet. Why are you allowed to carry? This is a chutzner who's nifritza b'melua. Okay, lav dafka. We don't mean b'melua. Normally is a word that I'm completely open to you. I don't have any side posts at all. So actually, lav dafka ela kol yosim yasakarli melua. If it's more than 10, that's tantamount to not having mechitzas. So yes, I respectfully admit that I do have two side walls there. Okay, as much as I don't like the artwork, but Lamaisi, you do have those two side walls, but It's not good enough. The two side walls are breached more than 10. If it's breached more than 10, this chutzner is not rectified at all. So why are you focusing on the water? Why aren't you focusing on the chutzner period? That you can't carry the chutzner in general. So as we turn the page, we can hopefully see the answer. The answer is very interesting concept that there are really walls that you can't see underneath. So the chutzner is actually rectified.
It's underwater.
Well, you had a storm surge, so you can have a lot of stuff underwater. The water is getting higher.
It's 12 feet.
What?
In Florida, it's supposed to be 12 feet.
Okay, so there you have it. So you had beautiful protrusions in your, of the ground coming up with these little stakes in the ground that actually closed you up way more than those 10 amis. Way less. You had a very solid situation, and there you have it. You see those underneath the sea. You had those walls, so you were good to go before the sea surge came in.
How high are those walls?
They were high enough. They were 10 tefachim high, but now it's flat to the sea because the sea overwhelmed it, and you were now you don't see it anymore. Okay, I have to start spelling out the words I use. Okay,
Underwater.
what?
You're underwater.
Exactly. Okay, so look at Rashi. Okay, what was left over from the pirza, more than 10, there were gedudim there. The gedudim served as boards, or whatever word you want to use. These stretches of wood that were valid enclosures. They weren't maybe very artistic. They had breaks, whatever, but they were valid, right? And they were good, and you were really closed up. But now you don't see a thing. You can take your rowboat straight out of your chutzner, right, from the water straight out to the sea, even though that never could have happened an hour ago when you had those gedudim there. So now you have a problem, but the problem is only as it relates to the water.
You have a big problem if it's all underwater.
Right, no, but it's a big chiddush. In other words, what the Bryce is saying is that those gedudim can still serve you now, even on the water, to allow you to carry anything but the water. The water, which is part of the Carmelis, it extends to the sea, and this is where again Michael's Farah comes in. It's all one big unit. So without a particular chutzner and partition for the sea, the water is viewed as one entity, and now you're carrying from a Carmelis. But your pail, okay, and your the different chairs you have, whatever else you want to move in there, that's still part of your chutzner. That still actually has those walls, despite the fact that you can't see it. So that's really a big chiddush.
You could even have a little rowboat inside.
Yeah.
You don't go outside.
Correct.
So
Correct.
That picture, that's got to be the roof of the building, the house below it, and this is on the second floor of this house.
Well,
in order for this whole thing to work, that has to be like the house.
it could be the wall you're by the water by Tiveria, where the people have walls just to the water, right? So you're mamish on the water, and you had the wall, and it was fine before the surge. You had a beautiful partition that separated you from the sea.
It's a retaining wall.
No, I understand the retaining wall, but now that house, it makes it look like that's ground level, right? When that water-
Okay, but despite the fact that it looks like ground level,
Well, why
Because
not?
you have to have partitions.
But if that wall below the water is only a retaining wall, but it's connected to the actual outside wall, so it's one wall, but the part down below is just a retaining wall, and the structure
Right.
starts.
you have to say it was a slant. In other words, it was slanted downwards, the chutzner, right? So when if there was no water and you're coming down the slant, you'd hit a wall, and you wouldn't be able to even access the beach by Tiveria, okay? Because the wall blocked you, So, but now that the water came up, there's no wall to block you. You can take your rowboat right out, and that only affects the water. But that wall is still there. Lagabi, all other things that you want to carry, that wall is still there. Okay.
So that wall helps you to carry whatever else you want. But
Correct.
You still need that
And the
olive
chutzner.
on the right
Right.
to access the water.
Right.
Right, if you want to access the water, then you have to build an additional thing because right now you're too wide. Your break is too wide, and you gotta close it up. Okay, very good. Next halacha, 2 dots. So I think we all have 2 dots. The 1 dots you guys don't have, but the 2 dots I assume you do have. Okay, so top of the page. Reviewed says as follows: Mavi shel nishtat fubo hichshiro belechi. Okay, so if you have a mavi which you have not yet made in a shtufei mavos, we've already learned, this is going way back to the beginning, and plus we learned many times in Shabbos, to be able to carry in a mavui or in a chotzer, okay, it needs some level besides the physical surrounding parts of your 4 walls need to be properly done. You then need a merger of the chatzeros with the mavui. Okay, how do you do that? The old matzah deal, right? You take some food, everybody chips in, you put it in a common place, and you're good to go. Okay, so you need shtufei mavos or you need a ruv chatzeros. So now we're focusing on a mavi. So you did not make a shtufei mavos, so you cannot right now carry in here. Okay, but so that's right now your only problem. Okay, so how did you get the mavi valid? So that all you're missing right now is that box of matzah. Like, what did you do to close it up? Say, if you made it kosher, in terms of only needing now the matzah, but you don't need anything else, you're good to go. If you made it a kosher through a lechi, hazarok l'tocho chayiv. If you throw from Wilshire Boulevard a ball into that mavui that was made kosher through a lechi, through a pole, through a vertical situation as opposed to your horizontal, you're chayiv. Okay, because at the end of the day, you've made into Rishus Hayachid Deraisa, and you've gone from Wilshire, which is Rishus Harabim Deraisa, to Rishus Hayachid Deraisa. That puts you in a tough spot, and you're going to have to be dealing with Chol Shabbos, unfortunately. Okay, chayiv. Chayiv is a word of a deraistic level. Okay, however, says reviewed a radical chiddush, hechshir b'kora. So the way you rectify the mavi actually will depend on whether or not that mavi seems to be rishus hayachid, the raisa, or not. If you rectified it with a korah, you put a cross beam across. You didn't go with the pole. You didn't go with the vertical. You went with the horizontal. Hazar l'tocha putter. Then you throw it in there. You putter. So the same mavui, which is rectified one of 2 ways, there's a big difference whether you threw the football in and you chayiv deraisa, or you threw the football in and you only chayiv darbanon. It's only asa darbanon. Potter mideraisa, but asa midarbanon. So let's see here. Let's do the Rashis. Hichshir belechi, tikno belechi. If you fix the mavi up with a lechi, hazarok l'tocho mishus rabim. If you threw it from Wilshire into the mavui, chayiv t'ksav lechi mishum mechitza. Clearly, the concept is, I hold. Rav Yehuda says that pole is like a 4th wall. It serves as a mechitza. And as a mechitza, I've now closed up to make it into a shus hayachid, and now you're going from a shus haram to shus hayachid. On the other hand, hachshir b'kora, hazarok l'tocha potter, Rashi says, why? The kor mishum heker. So Rashi's giving us a lumdis that even though they both seem to do the same thing, they do it in different ways. A lechi rectifies it through the mechitza process, giving you 4 walls. A korah does it through the heker process. And a heker means it's a recognition. So it's coming at it from a different angle. Okay, ukasavar bo mechitza deraisa, bein l'kul, bein l'chumra. And this, clearly, the reviewer's opinion is, you need 4 walls midaraisa. In order to make something into Rishus Yachid, you need to surround it by 4 walls. And you are not doing that, because a korah is not a 4th wall, right? We played with the idea that it comes down, so it must be that Rav Yehuda holds it doesn't work that way. It's simply a recognition, okay? But inside the mavui itself, somehow you'd be allowed to carry, even though it's not 4 walls, because somehow we're gonna, I don't know, we have to see how this makes sense.
So 3 walls and the reminder as a korah, it's usher, but you're butter, basically.
No, sorry, right. 3 walls and a reminder does not make it into an actual Shus Yachid. So you throw it in there, you didn't break Shabbos on the deraistic level. You didn't go from a Shus Rab to a real Shus Yachid. I'm just wondering, if you didn't go to if it's not a real Shus Yachid, then how are you carrying inside of it? So, but let's see. You need to be a real Rishus Yachid to carry, unless that's clearly that's part of the leniency of the Mavi. Let's see. So okay, we caught up on the Rashi. So Maskal of Sheshes. So Rosh Hashanah says, I don't know what's going on here exactly. I don't really follow your reasoning. Time it for the whole reason, it sounds like, right, when you threw in a line there, and when you told me the halacha, you threw in a line that nobody made a shtufe muvos. Nobody took that matzah and merged with all of the people of the different chatzeros. You didn't do that. What? So time alone is shtat for bo. The whole reason why this is a problem, you throw it inside the mavi and you chayiv the rice is because you didn't make a shtufe muvos. What on shtat for bo? I feel. But sounds like if you did make a shtufei muvos, afilu echshir b'kara nami chayiv, that would close you up and that would validate you as a legitimate rishus yachid deraisa. Okay, even if you use the kara, right? Because it sounds like this whole split takes place when you didn't make a shtufei muvos. But if you made a shtufei muvos, then I don't make the split. Then it doesn't matter whether you're a kara or whether you're not. Either way, you're going to be chayiv. Really, is that the case? Okay, it doesn't sound like it. He says that shouldn't make any sense. He says one more time. On I feel like shibakor nami chayv v'chikikazu also rishus yachid or rishus rabim. What this box of matzah, this loaf of bread, is going to make the difference between whether rishus yachid. This loaf of bread only relates to the issue of merging everybody. Shouldn't have to do with the legitimacy of those of the domain. The domain is what it is. Since when does a matzah, get into the whole structure of what your status is as far as Rishus Yachid versus Kamlis? Okay, V'atanya, didn't we learn in the Brisa, Chatzer Shel Rabim, Muvosh Ein Mufaloshin, if you have a Chatzer of a group of people, or Muvos, which are not Mufulish, okay, which are not open on both sides, Bein Irvu, Bein Lo Irvu, whether you make the Eruv or not, Azog Tochen Chayiv. If you throw inside of it, you're chayiv. So it doesn't seem like the rectification issue, the matzah, doesn't seem to play a role. It's pretty clear that once you have three walls, we have a mavi which is not mafulish. Whether you made the erev or not, it's rishus hayachid, and you're already in trouble before you get to the rectification. Before you get to the koro, before you get to lachi, you've got a rishus hayachid. So what exactly are you saying? Let's see Rashi. Chatzer shel rabim shepsuchen batam harbe lechotzer. In a case where you have many houses open to a chotzer, which was the way, right? That's a classical way that things went down in those days. You had many homes open to a common courtyard. And clearly, as a result of that common area, I can't carry from the chotzer to my house as you can't either. So we've got a problem as far as you need a Eruvin chatzeros. You can't go below Erev. You cannot go from the house to the chutzner or back or the other way without an Erev. For the simple logic, Rashi is giving us now a little bit of a review as to what the issue is, because the bias is miyuchet to one. The chutzner rishus chavero moshabo. And when it comes to the chutzner, I'm not the only one who dominates and who controls that chutzner. I got all my neighbors also use that chutzner in the same way. So I'm clearly going from one domain, which is uniquely me, to another domain, which is not uniquely me. So it's automatically an issue. Okay, Rabbanan goes to Sholoti Mishus HaYachid. Okay, and the Rabbanan made a decree: you cannot go from one Rishus Yachid to another Rishus Yachid. I might come to confuse matters and go from Rishus Yachid to Rishus Rabin. It's even more. No, that's even true for two separate Rishus Yachid, right? If to go from one neighbor's backyard to another neighbor's backyard, okay, we got to pick this up tomorrow, is also us, but this is even worse. We'll do this Rashi again tomorrow.